All right, hello
All right, good.
everyone.
We're live.
Welcome back to ANITUBE CON 2020 for Manga You Should Be Reading in 2020. I'm Noxy. All right, hello
All right, good.
everyone.
I'm Kiko.
What
Welcome
up?
back to
Igadu.
ANITUBE CON.
And Nickums.
Together we make Project Manga. For those of you who don't know, is a YouTube channel that has a podcast for covering the newest chapters in multiple stories that are coming out of Weekly Shonen Jump. Right now we're covering One Piece, My Hero Academia, Black Clover, Chainsaw Man, and Jujutsu Kaisen. We will be adding more things to that roster in the coming weeks or months. But that's the lineup right now, and we do that once a week. We also have a second show for tangential anime and manga related discussion topics that you can peep as well if you're not like a try-hard manga nerd. That's totally fine as well. But what we're going to be doing is talking about manga to read in 2020, whether that's because there's just a lot of really cool stories that we feel like not a lot of people are talking
Anime
about.
may have just came out.
Yeah, anime may have just came out, or anime may have just been announced. Yeah, so like a couple different reasons, or even those stories have thematic relevance in the times that we're in right now in one way or another. So
Yes.
So that is the philosophy behind this panel. Before we get into it, take a look at the description below. That's going to be we're going to find Tiltify links. We have a couple different charities that we are raising money for throughout this convention. One being for Black Lives Matter, and one being for COVID relief. So you got the audience for ANITUBE CON this weekend has been incredible so far. We've raised over $2,500 now at this point. We have a goal for $2,000 for each for each charity. And honestly, I didn't think it was going to get anywhere close to where it is now. So shout out to you guys. You guys are incredible. You guys have been really supportive throughout this entire thing. This is like the last official panel, of the weekend. And I just wanted to throw that out there that this has been a really fun project. And I'm glad that we all could come together amidst a couple different crises in the world right now and kind of, take a break to remember, that we're all really big nerds and fans of what we're talking about today. And sometimes you just need this kind of shit, to make sure that you can, kind of keep your sanity. So
Definitely.
Fuck yeah, dude.
100.
Yeah, very
Hell yeah.
Very glad to be a part of this with you guys. But yeah, okay. So getting into the topic at hand. Also, make sure you like the stream, and make sure if you follow the ANITUBE CON official Twitter that you share the tweets around for the panels that we've had this weekend, so that more people can see it. But getting into the topic at hand,
Hell yeah.
Manga you should be reading in 2020. Who wants to start it off?
I can start us off.
Okay.
I have a manga. Well, before I get started, as Noxy was saying, we do cover several manga on our regular show or whatever. So you should read those because we talk about those, pretty frequently. And we'd love for you to join us.
Yes.
Indeed.
But my first pick of the night here for manga you should be reading in 2020 is a seinen manga. Usually we cover shonen manga, but we do read lots of manga as a team here.
Yeah.
Love seinen manga. So seinen manga by Naoki Urasawa.
Let's go.
One of my favorite mangaka. And it's 20th Century Boys. So the reason that I want to share this one with all y'all is because this one actually has huge thematic elements tying to like the shit that's going on right now in this world. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To say a little bit more about 20th Century Boys, it's a finished manga. It ended in 2006, and the story kind of jumps around in time. It's not like a linear story from start to finish. It jumps around between like the 60s, the 90s, into the future, quote unquote, because like I said, it ended in 2006.
Yeah.
So it goes into the future of like the 2010s.
Yeah.
And kind of the main premise of the story is that there's this group of childhood friends, and they have their secret base, and they make this little secret society, and they have a symbol. And later in life, they start to realize that there's this kind of like cult leader who is using this symbol, and they're kind of just trying to, all these childhood friends, they're working together to try and stop this cult leader from essentially destroying the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there are tons and tons of parallels to what is going on right now. Coronavirus, in terms of a virus that's killing people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a charismatic political leader who's trying to, take control of things. I'm not going to name any names, but you might know who I'm referring to. You know what I mean?
Charismatic, quote unquote.
Charismatic. Yeah.
Some people think it's charismatic.
Okay, real quick. Actually, before I'm gonna let you continue here, obviously, but I do want to say this because I forgot to say it. For those who might be watching this panel and thinking okay, these people are gonna be talking about spoilers for stories that I haven't read. Recently we did on our show, on our YouTube channel, a manga recommendations episode, which kind of followed the guideline of a non-spoiler, synopsis conversation like we're starting to have now with 20th Century Boys. And then, we would put timestamps in the description before we went into, a very spoiler heavy review of its first volume. This panel is basically the same thing, but without the super spoilery review of its first volume.
Right.
So this is going to be very non-spoiler recommendation. You know what I mean? We can have we talk about this shit all the time, so we can have a conversation about what's great about a series without giving too much away about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys are safe.
No,
you guys are safe.
That's a great point. Thanks for reminding me to mention that. Yeah, definitely, because not many spoilers. Basically no spoilers. I mean, to talk about a story, you got to have some spoilers. You know what I mean about but it's kind of like when you're reading a book and the back of the book has a little synopsis on the back. That's all we're gonna be touching on.
And if
no
we do
major spoilers.
If we do spoil,
Definitely.
we're pretty self-aware. So we can say slight spoiler. Or if we really want to bring up a point, we can be heavy spoiler, plug your ears for 15 seconds or some shit like that. We got you. It'll be okay. There's
We've done this before.
Yeah, we do this.
But yeah, just to finish off with the basic description of the manga, it's basically a mystery. Urasawa, he writes primarily mysteries, thrillers, and this is when you start reading this manga, you're gonna read the first volume and you're gonna be read the second volume, you're gonna be totally hooked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the manga is incredibly inspiring in terms of overcoming worldwide phenomenon that are killing people and bringing us down, oppressing us and stuff. It really gives you a lot of very strong feelings about overcoming that adversity and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what did y'all think about that first volume?
Well, it's a really strong first volume. It's very relevant for the times, considering you were saying how political and dystopian the feeling is. It almost feels like foreshadowing for the real world, which is kind of scary at the same time. It's
definitely.
You know what I mean? And I don't know, man, considering how crazy the last couple of years have been, and especially in 2020, I can definitely see something like Bloody New Year's Eve happening in the real world. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So which is a crazy event that happens later on in the series that I won't go into. But
Right.
but that name doesn't give too much away. But I don't know, when I was going through 20th Century Boys, it feels like the West read 20th Century Boys and was all right, we love this book, and now we of course have to make our own version of it because we're the West. So how do we dumb it down and make it funny so Americans don't get scared? Codename Kids Next Door.
I've never seen Codename Kids Next Door.
Oh, dude.
Codename Kid Next Door is fire.
Yeah, it's super good. It's super good. But that's just what I instantly thought of when I read the synopsis of the series. That was just a tether that my mind created for it. But
that's funny.
Yeah, I think if you can be on either end of the spectrum, if you're really socially and geopolitically aware, it's going to hit real hard. If you're not, it's still going to hit real hard because you know, even if you're not super informed, or you just tune out world issues because it's frankly, I mean, hey, it's depressing. Nobody's going to argue with you that shit will drag you down. But if you don't pay attention, that doesn't mean you don't know that governments are on fuck shit, right? And stuff like that. So it works for both people, both ends of the spectrum. It really hit me in a lot of ways. I follow things to nauseum sometimes with world issues, and it just really hurts me personally. And to see a story like this, go this route, it really hooked me instantly. And I've only read the first volume, so I'm looking forward to continuing the story very greatly because just how Nickums has recommended this to me, personally, even before we're doing this or whatever, and just how he is saying how very inspiring and the feeling of hope that it gives you, like that's just something that's needed in this world, like desperately
100%.
right now. And
Yeah.
it's I'm ready to continue on this journey because and it's crazy because just kind of going through the manga that we're going to cover, like I kind of ran through all of them, that just touch up on whatever. And I saved 20th Century Boys for last, and I wasn't familiar with it, and instantly regretted that I saved it for last. I'm like, what
Yeah,
the
what
fuck?
am
Like,
I doing?
Like man, there's so much, and this is so deep that I wish I had like maybe a little bit more time to kind of comb through even the first volume another time, and the thing that really spooked me, this is maybe a minor spoiler alert, but there's a cult leader, and his name is Friend. Just he's known as Friend.
Yeah.
And it's like that just like you're like, man, obviously he ain't Friend. Like fuck all that. Like.
And
So-
Urasawa's like, you can tell right away that Urasawa is just like a different level of like author. You know what I mean?
100%.
I feel like inside of manga in general, or just like fictional storytelling in general, you have authors that have a really good idea, you know what I mean, and can write characters well enough and whatnot, and like certain like areas that they might be lacking in are kind of like carried by or made up for by the obvious strengths that they have inside of their original idea, or how well they characterize things. But like Urasawa is one that had an incredible idea and knew what to fucking do with it in all of his books. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
you can just tell that this is a different kind of person writing these kind of stories. And
these
I'm glad-
stories
I'm
are
glad
fully
you-
constructed before he starts writing.
yeah.
Right.
He has
Oh,
the
definitely.
groundwork laid. Definitely, there's no
Yeah.
question.
I'm glad you brought up that he has other works or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, a great thing about 20th Century Boys is that it is finished. So like when we're all quarantined from coronavirus or whatever, you got plenty of time. You can just binge this whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if anyone's out there and you've already read 20th Century Boys, there is a sequel manga that's called 21st Century Boys. You do have to read that to get the full picture of the story. That's only 2 volumes, so just add that on the end or whatever. But he's done Monster, phenomenal story. Pluto, which is like an alternate take on Astro Boy, super interesting. Billy Bat, which is my personal favorite manga that's finished. Favorite manga that's ongoing is One Piece, obviously.
Let's go.
And he even has
Agenda.
an ongoing manga called Asadora. And so like there's plenty from Urasawa, but in terms of super relevant to 2020, I would recommend 20th Century Boys.
Let's go.
Awesome.
Hell yeah, dude.
I mean,
Hell yeah.
Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to say specifically about 20th Century Boys? Because I feel like we're at a point now where we're just gonna start talking.
yeah, we're gonna
about
get
the story.
spoilery.
Yeah.
Let's just go on to the next one.
Yeah, and I know I like made a big deal to say like we know what we doing, you know what I'm saying? But I was like about to say something that was like, oh wait, I can't say that. Like, it's definitely a very hard thing to do, but
Definitely.
yeah. Okay,
Okay.
who's next?
Is it me? Am I going next?
Yeah, you go next.
You can go
Yeah.
next.
All right. Bet. So,
What we doing?
yeah. Hey, I'm covering. I feel like this might be the hypest story I've read in a long time. There's so much, just so
Pure
much
hype.
intensity. Yeah, pure hype is intensity, and I'm talking about Tokyo Revengers from Ken
Yes,
Wakui.
sir.
Man, hey, this shit is so fire. It's
Goat
a shonen out of
Revengers.
Kodansha. Yeah, bro, the Toman boys are out here. So the story is about a man who's in his mid-20s. His name's Takamichi Hanagaki, and he sees on the news that his old girlfriend Hinata and her younger brother Naoto were murdered by the Toman gang. And the Toman gang are like a Tokyo Yakuza-style street gang that started as just like a delinquent gang and grew to have considerable power within Tokyo, definitely. And
considerable corruption.
definitely. And so Takamichi sees the shit on the news and he's like reminiscing about his old life and he's like getting real in his feelings about the shit and not really paying attention. And somebody pushes his ass onto the fucking railway track in the subway and a train is coming right for his ass. And before he gets hit with the train, something happens. He goes back in time 12 years to when he was a delinquent in middle school. I guess it's like 14-ish, roughly.
Yeah.
Japanese middle school goes on a little longer than our middle school. But back in that, he goes back in time to the 12 years and just kind of like lives out a day of his old life. You know, he gets into, you know, a little delinquent beef, whatever, gets in a little fight, starts getting in his feelings about reminiscent about Hinata, and he's like, I gotta go see my old girlfriend, because that I didn't really touch on this, but like that's like the love of his life. He didn't really have much going for him as an adult, and like he didn't really have any girlfriends or anything like that, and like he just thinks back to this time where he was basically happiest. And so obviously he went back in time, has to go see his old girlfriend, and talks to her, gets really emotional, and doesn't really know what to do, because it's like, I'm 12 years in the past, like what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure
like,
I'm dead, and this is like a some kind of you know, psychological like trip that I'm having, you know, or something like that. I think is the reasoning that he has there. So he's like, all right, might as well go, you know, handle the things that I regretted going into adulthood, which was the situation with my girlfriend. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. And so as he's leaving his girlfriend's house, he sees some kids bullying another kid, and you know, he definitely feels some kind of way about it, goes and breaks the shit up. He's real, you know, mad, and basically threatens to kill the kids that are harassing the other kid. And that other kid just turns out to be Hinata's little brother, who was also murdered, Naoto. And they just kind of get to talking or whatever, and Takamichi doesn't know that that's Naoto when they start having a conversation, but they, you know, conversation progresses. Oh shit, you're my girlfriend's little brother. Oh damn, you know, like, and you can see like there's so much, like, I don't know if it's inner monologue, but you can see so much going through Takamichi, like,
right, like put
should
yourself
I tell
in that
him? Should I?
situation, like,
yeah, like should I tell him? Should I not tell him? You know, and eventually he, you know, just decides, fuck it. If this, I don't know, this may be a dream. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen, but I'm not going to regret, you know, my decision here, and tells Naoto, in 12 years from now, on this day, you and your sister are going to be murdered by the Tomen gang, and you need to protect your sister. Do whatever you can. You know this is coming. Do something about it. I don't know what's going to happen with me. Who knows what the fuck's going on here. and you know, kind of goes, maybe this is, I don't think this is too spoilery, but so to get back to the future, how he does, he's not dead.
Yeah, this is all chapter one.
Back
so
and forth.
I mean, like I feel like
this is all
chapter one spoilers like aren't.
Chapter one's like 90 pages or something. I don't know, maybe it's not that long. 60, 70
There's
pages.
been no discretion.
Yeah, everything that Kiko has said has been inside of chapter one. So like I feel like
he's been going crazy.
Yeah,
this is chapter one. I mean, like that's the synopsis of the story. Like I gotta tell.
Think about it, dude. It's like if you say Tokyo Revengers is a story about a kid who like was like a really lame adult who gets hit by a train, but instead goes back in time and starts talking to his girlfriend. Like, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, you need a little more.
Yeah, like that doesn't really paint, you know, the picture.
Yeah. It's just quick. It's
quick, very complicated
first chapter synopsis, basically. And so they get to talking. They make a deal, basically. Oh yeah, I'm going to take care of my sister, or whatever. And they shake hands. And unknowingly, that sends Takamichi back to the future. And so the catalyst between going back and forth in the future is shaking hands with Nao.
What?
I shouldn't say it.
No, I mean, I don't know. You don't have to say it. He somehow gets back into the future.
Well, I mean, it's fine.
I don't know.
It's fine. I mean,
it's still chapter one.
It's still chapter
one.
Yeah,
it's all chapter one. But yeah, so that's the big thing, is that he is going to change the future by, you know, going through the past and trying to fix the corruption or fix whatever happens with the Tomen gang, or even just infiltrate them and stop what they're doing,
right?
Or just grow in ranks and have you know, power within the group and can, you know, steer them away from whatever bad direction they take.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, in terms of like why you should read this now, other than it being a totally fire story that you're going to be on the edge of your seat the entire time, there are rumors of an anime adaptation coming out.
Yes.
I don't know if they've been necessarily confirmed, but I think it'll be
there's definitely been
Leiden Films, same studio that did Berserk 2016. So, but they also did Terraform Mars. So I mean, I think it could be not as bad as Berserk 2016.
Yeah,
it's not going to be seen.
I think Berserk was like an off-base choice that they made. Like they didn't normally do CGI, I heard, but they just for some reason chose to do it with Berserk. So I mean, the studio couldn't be too bad.
And I think we got like an actual confirmation. I don't remember where I saw it or if the source is credible, so take this with a grain of salt. But I'm pretty sure that we know for sure it's getting a live action adaptation
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That was
that's what I
delayed because
heard
of
first.
coronavirus, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know if
it
that's
will
a
be
good
coming out,
idea.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like Tokyo Revengers is one you can do that with, just because there's no superpowers. You know what I mean? There's no.
Ain't nobody gonna replicate Mikey's kicks.
I mean, we've seen Mikey's kicks in live action already.
no.
Yeah, we have. I'll tell you the movie.
But yeah, something else I love about Tokyo
The
Revengers is
UFC.
like I definitely fuck with delinquent stories and delinquent
Yeah,
characters.
yeah.
But this is
Yes.
when you start reading it, you're like, okay, what time travel?
Yeah.
Delinquents and time travel? It's
Yeah.
like, dang,
Yeah.
sign me up for this.
It's a really cool premise, and like the characters are all incredibly designed and characterized and developed, and like everyone's got like such a unique personality from one another, and they're all really fucking cool. And there's a lot of misdirection that goes, inside of the story. For example, nope, that's not an example I can give. But you'll see that like there's not a lot of things that you can really predict with this series. And like when you start talking about time travel, it's very easy to do that incorrectly. You know what I mean? Inside of fictional storytelling, and I feel like Ken Wakui had a really good time travel concept inside of this story, and like you don't have to like get into like actual like physical like paradoxes or paradoxes or anything like that, which is cool. I mean, like there's still like regular like time travel dynamics that have to be there if you're going to be traveling through time that you guys will see when you read it, but it doesn't get like mind-numbingly crazy and complex.
Yeah, it's a very Back to the Future-esque, where it's like it's a very simplistic. We're not going crazy with alternate universes or alternate timelines that could possibly, be interwoven or anything.
There's
Nothing
no
like
branch
that. Just-
universe theory.
Right.
No.
Time travel nerds might be upset by the dynamics or whatever, but like it's time travel. Deal with it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I guarantee you, like you're gonna be on the edge of your seat this entire manga because it's
Facts.
phenomenal.
I agree.
This shit
So
will have you. This shit
suspenseful.
will have
It's
you
very
saying,
riveting.
This shit will have you saying one more chapter until you catch up to it. I know multiple people that have read it all in one sitting. You know what I mean? It's
Noxie said this to me on multiple occasions, and I agree wholesale.
Yeah.
It's the bingiest manga
yeah.
in existence.
Yeah,
Like,
it's one of them. It's
you
one of them.
literally just want to read it. Once you start it, you'll read it in completion in probably a day and a half.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Easy.
if you're a slow reader.
Takamichi as a main character is kind of like a breath of fresh air inside of the genre, in my opinion. I feel like there are way too many inside of shonen storytelling, and Kodansha has always been a lot different than Shueisha for a reason, obviously, but just like Takamichi as a character, and like for those who are interested, I have a character study that I did on Takamichi in the pinned tweet of my Twitter account if you guys want to go peep that. But it's basically just like not your average shonen MC, and you never knew how well it could be done this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I praise the series for. I often attribute Tokyo Revengers, like I think I've said it before on the channel, even like it feels like Martin Scorsese decided to write a manga.
Right.
and teamed up with the author of Death Note to do it.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's the stakes are there. It's some of the best written camaraderie that I've ever seen in comic books. Once you start like learning the characters and learning
100%.
how the gangs work and learning all of the politics involved.
You won't know who your favorite character is.
Yeah,
the
your
whole
your
fucking
favorite
time.
character
Like I
will
switched
switch,
like
like,
5
a
fucking
million
times at least.
Yeah.
My son Drake in.
Chifuyu, baby.
Yeah.
Chifuyu. I'm on Team Chifuyu all day.
I'm on Team
Chifuyu's riding.
Drake and all day.
I feel like
Chifuyu's riding.
I'm growing my
Draken-
hair out right now. I'm finna get the tattoo and everything.
Dude,
Watch out for the
designs.
cosplay.
Look up the character designs. Like, I mean, like, be careful if you want to avoid spoilers. But like, just look at the volume covers. These motherfuckers is drippy to them, bro.
Swear
Yeah,
to
yeah.
I swear to God,
God.
some of the best clothing designs.
That one volume cover of Draken in the I'm sorry, I'm riding Draken's dick right now, but the one volume cover of Draken in the like the blue and yellow camouflage jacket with the combat boots.
outfit.
Bro!
The Bapes, Planet of the Bapes.
My
baby.
son-
Yeah, dude.
Oh.
You can't go wrong with this one. I mean, like, I feel like even if delinquent stories like aren't up your alley, I feel like this one will hit just because of all of the other like storytelling dynamics that you like might not see in like delinquent storytelling. You know what I mean? That are incorporated in it. So like you see a lot of things that you like from other stories that you've seen, but it's also wholly unique in its own way. And it does a lot of like, it brings a lot of like new ideas to how these kind of stories are handled. So I can't recommend it enough, dude. It's so fucking good.
Well, and that's why I wore my this shirt today, because thematically, like, so we did 3 panels today. Like we did Shonen Pioneer, we did Jujutsu X Hunter with Togashi, and now I got Delinquents. Boom.
The relevance.
I hit them all.
The relevance.
I put some thought into that joint today.
Damn. Yes, dude. Good job.
Crazy.
I didn't even.
Well, should we get on to the next recommendation?
Let's go. Let's go. Who's next?
I'm gonna go again. I'm gonna go again. Oh, sorry. No, go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you go. You go.
Yeah, Eagle. Yeah, you should go.
I'm so excited.
So,
so excited.
The one I'm handling today is it's a manga published out of Shonen Jump. It's actually kind of a long running manga now, but it is Act Age.
Yes, sir.
And this is kind of an off base one. It's not your typical shonen really with like battles going on, crazy superpowers.
Yeah,
this is not really a much more down.
It found its audience right away, and it became something really great really quickly.
And I believe that's because like it's really like it's a lot more human, right? Like it's much more relatable because it's a much more real life story about. Okay, so the main character is Kei Yanagi. She's a
queen.
You said goat queen. Okay, yeah. Facts.
Yeah.
Both.
And she is a young woman who is living alone with her 2 younger siblings, taking care of them because her mother has just recently, I'm not sure if it's recently or long ago. Her mother's basically dead, and her father is alive but lives elsewhere.
Ran out of
basically has abandoned them.
Yeah.
And and so she's living, working a job, taking care of her siblings, and her dream is basically to become an actor. And she has even though it's untrained, a masterful ability to do what they call method acting and draw on her own experience to bring, whatever she needs to an acting role.
Yeah.
And so you basically follow her in her journey, and like the story I feel is mostly focused on like the development of not only Yanagi but like people around her. And so in the first volume, fairly a little spoilery here, you get a few different auditions and even commercials or whatever that she goes through, kind of basically developing her skills as an actor, because in the first chapter she's in an audition, gets rejected, but this really famous director notices her ability to method act.
Yeah.
And says like, I've been looking for you type shit. And so yeah, it's really focused on like the development of Yanagi, and it's like I said, it's a really relatable story because like where in a typical shonen you get this person who, while they can integrate relatable elements into the story, the character ultimately is like this superhuman freak with powers that you really can't relate to as a normal human being who can't fucking lift up a 200-pound boulder. So so like as you kind of go through her growth and her development in even just the first volume, it's like really relatable, and like there's some moments that really hit, like in the
is this a spoiler?
Yeah,
slight spoiler, in the moment in the initial audition with the wolf.
Sure, yeah.
That is a super relatable moment because the way she reacts is tied back to her desire to protect her family, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost the most relatable manga that I've read.
It's
as a regular human being.
Yeah, and
definitely. When you read something that's a regular human being story that anybody could really experience, is technically, I mean, it's definitely going to resonate on that level no matter what. And I mean, I just wanted to touch a little bit on, I mean, also spoilery, her feudal scene, her feudal scene, feudal Japan scene, where you know there's a kid that she's going to protect, even though she's just an extra and she's supposed to be in the background and not like doing shit, but she's gonna run out and protect a little kid, you know, even though and it's fucking the scene up, which was so great for me because I'm like, okay, this is like the double-edged sword of method acting, right? Like if you're going to totally embody this character like 100% and totally separate yourself, you know, and get into this character and use your own experiences, you might have a situation like this where she's going to stand up for somebody that she's just an extra. She's not supposed to stand up for anybody. She's supposed to just sit back, look pretty, and do nothing. But that's not what she did, and that's crazy.
It's very
like,
shonen MC of her in that scene.
Right.
Yes, yes,
definitely.
But it also makes sense considering her origins with method acting.
Yes.
And one of the coolest, like, I feel like one of the coolest dynamics inside of Act Age to me when I was going through it is like, okay, so like as someone who's taken a stab at acting before in my youth, like you learn about different kinds of acting, and method acting specifically is one. And I think the manga will actually tell you this in the first volume. Method acting is one that like usually like only like seasoned like veteran actors or just like older people, like full grown adults in general, can really do, because it requires you to have a lot of life experience that you're drawing from in order to create the person you need to be in these scenes. And for someone as young as Yonagi to be so prodigious at this style of acting is like a little like unsettling, you know, because it's like, okay, what kind of person is this? What has she been through? But at the same time, inside of the director who finds her and wants to cultivate her into this actor, you start asking questions like, okay, like, is this like morally okay for him to be wanting to subject, you know, this teenager to this kind of acting because he knows that he's got a star on his hands? Like, is this character cool? Is he not? And it creates a lot of like, there's a lot of really mature themes in it. I mean, like, as someone who grew up on, you know, meathead shit, you know what I mean? I never thought that Act Age would be something that would hit as hard as it did for me. And I talked my shit, and I you know, have gone on record publicly saying I was wrong, very wrong. I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? Just like everyone told me that I was going to be. So shout out Dana, shout out, you know, Sean. But I was really impressed by how the author knew like what acting sounded like conceptually, but had this great of an idea on how to tell the story of acting. And you could tell right from that first chapter, or right from that first page of that first chapter, it's just like any kind of manga that has like a world job that the story focuses on. Hunters inside of Hunter x Hunter, you know,
ninjas inside of Naruto, pirates inside of
One Piece. You have that page that says, this is, you know, like that inspiring, like, oh shit, you know, colored page where it's like actors come in all shapes and sizes, you know, and it has that like narrator, you know, monologue that like really gets you excited for the series. And
it's like the Fable opening.
Exactly.
Yeah, the morality of the method acting for a young girl was the greatest part to me, like especially when you have that first acting agent trying to tell you know, what's his name, I wrote it down, I forgot it, but Kuriyama is the director, who's kind of a douche, a lot of a douche, I don't know, whatever you want, but like he's cool too. Like, I mean, that's an interesting character for me who hasn't gotten past.
He's interesting because you're not sure if he's really genuine. You know,
exactly,
which I love,
exactly
love in storytelling.
Definitely.
It's like if you paint a character to be a certain way, but like I can't tell if he really is that way, or maybe I've convinced myself that they are that way, and then you flip the script on me later and like give them some development, you know, that changes things.
And don't you kind of consider but don't you kind of consider anybody who's like really down to business, they're really like blunt and right to the point, everybody kind of considers them a douche, right? Even though they're just trying to like do their thing, like this is you know, his wheelhouse, he knows what the fuck he's doing, even though that other you know, old lady scout, I forget her name, but like she's saying like, okay, yes, she's extremely talented. Yes, she can do this method acting like maybe we've never seen at somebody this age, but this is not moral to bring her down this path. Which that really hit really hard, especially
that did really hit.
She's a high school girl. Like she's taking care of a fucking two kids that, you know, her little siblings. Like I mean, she's got a lot on her plate, and to like start like fucking with her psyche like that is really very captivating plot line that will just kind of hook you on the story and keep you reading. And same with Noxie. Like I talk my shit too. Like at the end of the day, and Noxie at least has taken a stab at acting. Of I don't act like I don't know. Like this personally doesn't really resonate with me at surface level until you get into it and you see, okay, I just see why this is a good story. You know,
Yeah,
like,
you don't have to care about acting or the or like the
everyone
premise of
dreams
it.
big, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone dreams big, sure, yeah.
Like
Another thing for me is that, like, in terms of being in Shonen Jump, when you're seeing these scenes and you see how the other characters interact with Yonagi, she is absolutely a shonen protagonist. You know what I mean? Like, it's really cool to see a shonen protagonist. One, a lady shonen protagonist. That's always nice to see.
Yes.
But also, not a battle shonen. You know what I mean? Like to have these shonen interactions and growth and like overcoming obstacles and stuff, but in a very physical, not physical, but more like down to earth,
grounded.
You know, grounded sense is like very cool, very refreshing.
Yeah, and at the same time,
a beautiful
it's acting.
manga.
It's beautifully drawn and it's acting. So like you get to see all of these different kinds of
the
like
facial
settings.
expressions.
Well, you just get to see all of
the
these different
facial.
kinds of like fictional settings, even though it's a very grounded story and it's very human. Like these people are playing roles, you know, of you know, fictional characters. I mean, it's fiction already, but like it's not just like you still get put in these scenes that make it like exciting fiction at the same time without needing, you know, there to actually be, you know, like an action oriented world that the story takes place in. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense.
Well, and just to go back a little bit to what Kiko, you know, something Kiko was saying earlier. Shit, I just lost my train of thought.
The moral
Jesus
aspect
Christ,
of method acting.
go ahead. Just go ahead.
I'm just to say, like, I mean, I'm thinking about the moral act, like the moral position, like the immoral position, really, of putting a 16, 17-year-old girl, whatever she is, through the psyche issues that you may suffer by tapping into these dark places to bring out a character, which, like, you know, I think everybody taps into something in their past for different reasons, whereas like this is for, I mean, I don't want to call it arbitrary because it's like acting and but like, if you think about it, if she doesn't go through this, you know, like, and she's able to maintain her psyche, like, I think that's the better path than, you know, totally fucking her whole mind up and being very, because just think about like real celebrities or real actors like Macaulay Culkin or I don't know, whoever the fuck
Heath
you want to
Ledger.
think, like a child. Yeah, Heath Ledger, child actors or whatever.
Okay, you were making an example of child actors.
Well,
I was
it
using
doesn't
an
even
example of a method actor.
I mean, but no, Heath Ledger's a great example too, because
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be child actor; it could be teenage actor, which he was a teenage actor to start or whatever. But regardless, you see that this work wears on you psychologically, and to start to do this to a young girl who, you know, has a bright future, is very talented, was really not the way to go, even though she needs this personally for her own life and to sustain her family. Like, she's already working a job while attending school to try to, you know, provide for her two siblings. Like, it's a real tough position to be in.
And see, like the whole like
all parties, really.
The whole dynamic of like the moral, you know, like questions you can ask yourself about, you know, a director cultivating, you know, method acting in such a young body, is just like an initial, you know, like dynamic inside of the series that like adds another layer of compelling, you know, storytelling to it. That's not so that it doesn't feel like the story is just relying on, you know, this is a story about acting and you learning about acting if you've never looked into it before. You know what I mean? Like it's like as you continue to go through the series, like you're reminded that like although she is a prodigious method acting talent, and that is what, you know, like made her stand out in the eyes of this director, she's still learning everything else about acting along the way and becoming a perfect actor with just that foundation of method acting, giving her a boost ahead of other people. You know what I mean? So like, that's definitely not the whole story is this moral, you know, ambiguity, you know, of cultivating method acting in a small child.
Well, hey, Eagle, you say the point you were trying to say, and then I want to get into
we
my
gotta
next
wrap
book.
this
Yeah,
up
yeah,
because
yeah.
we're running a little long on this act edge. So the last thing I really wanted to say, just because I remembered what my point was, is that to piggyback off what Kiko was saying a long time ago about the feudal scene.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
While she did have a really hard time with that because she was picturing her own siblings as the little girl that was being killed, so she could
Yeah.
not act like, basically she, spoiler alert, kicks the lead actor wholesale because he's trying to fakely kill the child. But within that moment is a huge development for her where her mentor is like, look, like, you also, even though your whole thing is that you draw on your own experience to bring yourself into like whatever mind space you need to be in, you also need to learn how to understand other people
Right.
and their states of mind and how they would act.
Yeah.
And after that scene, you get a whole devoted scene to her staring out a window, just watching other people, trying to think of what their frame of mind is and how they're thinking and how they're moving.
Yeah. The
So
series just reminds
there's
you of, like,
constant
how girls-
development within
Yeah.
each little thing that's happening for the main character,
Oh,
which
yeah.
which is really, really good.
Yeah.
Each time she has something that she's doing or a little project that she's involved with, there's a little bit of growth for her as an actor and as a person, which
Yeah.
is really
Yeah.
a compelling part of the story.
I like the comment we got here from Whimsy Dearest. It says in real life that she would have been blackballed or blacklisted, whatever,
yeah,
from
for
the
sure.
industry
Yeah,
They're
from
not
doing
gonna
something
let you.
like
Yeah,
that.
they're not gonna let you do that. And see, like, and that's the thing is that, like, yes, it's outside of the shonen mold. Yes, it's about acting. You can make whatever assumptions you want about the series, but like one, you should be looking more into things past the premise anyway. I mean, obviously, if something doesn't sound like it's up your alley, you can make
I'm guilty of that.
You can,
I'm guilty of
and
that.
me too. Me too. But at the same time, it's like, if you make those assumptions, that's totally fine for you to do that because you know what you like. But if you have X amount of critically acclaimed recommendations coming from people
Yeah.
that share similar interests as you,
Yeah.
and they're saying, "Yo, this is
Definitely.
different," then like maybe look
Yeah.
into that. But at the same time, it's like it's very character driven. There's a lot of like amazing storytelling elements, in it outside. It's definitely not a series that relies on its premise or on its concept or on its what's the word I'm looking for here?
Face?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Merit.
It's definitely something that it has a lot of thought put into it. It wasn't just like, oh, we haven't had an acting manga in a while. I bet you that'll do well. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely not one of those. It's a great story, and everybody should.
Right.
Everybody
It
should.
is.
Yeah.
All right, with that,
But yeah, I think we should probably
Yeah,
wrap up
we
the
should.
wrap up the
Yeah.
act.
I do
and,
want to
let
say
Nickens-
one thing from the chat, actually. Another comment from Whimsy Dearest. I did not know this, actually, but it's actually not pronounced act age. It's a French pronunciation, so it's like actage.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. Look
Like
on the
Mirage.
Wikipedia. It has the pronunciation on Wikipedia. Actage.
That's amazing.
Actage.
I knew that hyphen
Alright.
was there for a reason.
Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, moving on. I have another pick. And I'll go quick or whatever since we're running short on
Yeah.
time or whatever.
Yeah.
But pick is Beastars.
Yes, sir.
This is written by Paru Itagaki, who is
Yes.
the daughter of Keisuke Itagaki, who wrote Baki the Grappler. So it's the daughter. The writer is the daughter of the dude who wrote Baki the Grappler.
Yes.
In terms of relevance, on the one hand, there was an anime season 1 out in the fall of 2019 of last year. Really great anime. Studio Orange, same people that did Land of the Lustrous. That's now on Netflix.
I wanted
so
to watch it, but I
no,
didn't have enough time.
no reason not to watch it. It's very well done. There's a bit of 3D animation to it, but it's like well done 3D, like Land of the Lustrous. And another reason to read it now in 2020 is there are rumors it's going to finish soon. I mean, to me, I've been reading this for a long time, many years. It doesn't seem like it's going to finish to me, but apparently in the one of those blurbs at the beginning of a chapter or whatever, it said the final battle. So it's kind of it could be ending soon. As a quick synopsis,
Yeah.
Someone Kaizoko in the chat, best furry manga. I mean, yes, if you've
Relax.
ever seen Zootopia,
Relax.
if you've ever seen Zootopia, which for the record I have not seen Zootopia, it's a very similar concept, right? So you have a world, a city, all these characters that are anthropomorphized animals, and
Which is a tight
Beastars-
concept.
Yeah, super tight
Don't act
concept.
like you don't want to be an animal person.
We
Right.
all read Animorphs.
Don't.
We all loved it.
Exactly
Scholastic
right.
School Bus.
Now, in terms of another relevance to
Scholastic.
the modern day,
Book fair.
there are huge themes in Beastars in terms of oppression and division among the people, because like Zootopia, there is, there's the herbivore animals and the carnivore animals. And in this story, the carnivore animals are discriminated against because obviously they're violent, you know what I mean? They're thugs,
Yep.
they're violent. And so there's tons of, messages about interspecies marriages, interspecies children, hybrid children, discrimination of, carnivores or whatever. The art is a very cool style. The cover pages are kind of like a watercolor style, and kind of like a sketchy style. The art definitely progresses and gets better over the course of the series. But in terms of the kind of general story, how it begins or whatever, all these characters, the main character is a wolf named Lugosi, and they're kind of they're just students in this school, this Cherryton school. It's like a prep school, and right at the very beginning, to set the scene in terms of this dichotomy between herbivore and carnivore characters, an alpaca, an herbivore, an alpaca student is killed by this unknown carnivore. Is it a student? Is it a teacher? Is it just a random, serial killer or something? But basically, the story begins with trying to find out who killed Tem the alpaca. Who did this? And there is also like a huge many plot lines in terms of relationships between characters. All, like, so many characters in this story are phenomenally written.
Yeah.
And it's very much worth a read. Try and get over the fact that it's like a furry manga. It's not a furry manga. It's just a manga where all the characters are animals. Actually, the writer.
That before. You've seen like
right, yeah.
seen that
The writer actually does animal characters because she just can't draw people to save her life. You know what I mean? There's like art of her like trying to draw humans, and they just look like potatoes, every single one of them. And she can draw animals. She's doing animal stories. I don't know. It's great.
And this is one of the coolest ideas for a manga that I've seen in a really long time, in my opinion. It feels like the author took certain like characters from throughout fiction that have this dynamic where they're like fighting against their primal, side, like inside of like a Wolverine, you know what I mean, or inside of like a trying to think of a non-Marvel example, but yeah, Wolverine, for example, you know what I mean? Like we've seen this in fiction, before, and she just decided to just make it the whole world, which is really fucking cool. And right away from that premise, you can tell that this is going to be a very character-driven story, like Nickums was saying, and there are so many opportunities for development and progression inside of these characters. You know what I mean? Like, okay, they're sentient enough to live in a civilized world, but they're still Darwinistic enough to like have that be like a major, legal issue and just like moral issue inside of this civilized world that they're allowed to live in, because they've evolved to the point where they can build houses, they can, have, economical and geopolitical like infrastructures and whatnot set in place, so that they're not actually animals, but they're still very much animalistic at the same time. And that's just such a cool dynamic. There's going to be like that just allows so much depth in not just like the storytelling, but the characterizations and whatnot too. It's really fucking cool. Yeah.
And I know we don't have a lot of time. I mean, really, I'll just say something quick. I mean, it's just, I don't know, feels good to have your main character be a wolf who's doesn't act like a carnivore. He's very reserved.
And he's discriminated against because of his like race, you know what I mean?
And he's like very conflicted with like how he's supposed to act and who he actually is, you know. So I mean, I really love that. I know we don't got a ton of time really left, so I mean, that's really all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, for sure.
We can go over a little bit, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like this is the last panel, and then we're still organizing. We're still organizing, like like the hosts that are going to be there for the closing ceremony Q&A after this. So I feel like we can kind of spare a couple minutes here and there. But I mean, if you wanted to go in depth on anything else with Beastars, that's totally fine. Before I get into my
I would just say that like the only thing I would say about Beastars is that, one, the characters are amazing, the art's amazing, and the world building is absolutely phenomenal. Like you will get this, character progression, these amazing interactions between characters and mystery in terms of, like where the direction the plot is going. Yeah. And then they throw these chapters about like how the world is organized, and you don't get them very often, or like the history of the world, or like the history of carnivore, herbivore relationships. And it's like, you're like, holy shit, this is like super interesting. So like it's I would highly recommend this manga. It's one of my favorites.
Yes,
I
sir.
agree.
But Noxie,
Yeah, let's wrap up.
you
Rounding off the
need to
conversation.
give us a recommendation, son.
Yeah,
Get it!
Yeah, rounding off the conversation, we're looking at a story called Dorohedoro by Q
Woo!
Hayashida.
Woo-hoo!
Okay, and
Hey.
Good.
this finished recently in 2018, I think. So I mean, like just like something that you can binge from start to finish is obviously very, relevant for today's times where we're all cooped up. You can get a whole story from start to finish. While you're not doing anything but sitting on a couch or whatever your normal activities do, that undoubtedly,
And the
regardless of
anime.
what they are, you have more time on your hands than normal. Yes, it also did just finish its first season in the anime, which is beautiful. It's done by Mappa. They really can't miss right now, but
No, goats.
it's a gritty mystery story about magic and sorcery, but it's handled a little bit differently. It's handled a little bit differently than anything that I've personally seen before. It takes place in a city called the Hole, which is a very obviously, dangerous place where these sorcerers kidnap people to perform these grotesque experiments on them for one reason or another.
Practicing their magic.
Practicing their magic. And it tells the story of a man named Kaiman, who's a victim of one of these experiments, and he woke up afterwards with the head of a crocodile and amnesia. So this badass girl named Nikaido finds him, and they just kind of kick it throughout the story, trying to help unravel, Kaiman's past and find the person who did this to him. So
Right.
if you're into darker stories, this is great. This is right up your alley, and you can tell that right away.
Yeah.
The art style is very
Super
gritty.
seinen.
It's super seinen. It's very body horror. It's very it's very unique in general, not just in the art style, which you'll notice right away, but in the storytelling and the characterizations throughout are all not something you'd expect from an aesthetic like this. You know what I mean? The author Q Hayashida does a really good job of balancing horror, comedy, drama, mystery, suspense, sometimes incorporating all of those things in one scene.
Right.
And there is, it's just not something that you think you would ever see, and not something that you can really prepare yourself for. It's something you just have to have to like jump into, listen to any recommendations you've ever got, because those people know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And this is an incredible series.
The magic system is just like super unique.
Yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't go too deep into it, because like part of the fun of Dorohedoro is like learning about the magic system over time. But it is one of the most unique magic systems I've ever read about, and the world too. The world is just it's like it's pure imagination. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's completely original. I've
Yeah.
never read anything like this ever.
Yeah, and it's kind of it feels like a romp, right? Like it seems like a lot of like what's happening at times like seems like nonsensical, but at the same time it's just like that plays into the world that they're living in. And like, I don't want to, I was literally about to say some super spoilery shit there, but like when things seem like arbitrary in this series, you'll find out that it turns out that they weren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, and that's not to say that there aren't like really like funny moments that seem, like they'll never get referenced again, later in the series or whatever. But like, and that just goes back to like the comedy element in it. But at the same time, it's like, this is just like a style of storytelling that you could tell the author was like, I can't wait to give people this.
Hell yeah.
You know
Hell
what
yeah.
I mean? And it's really fun. It's really dark. It's really scary.
Yeah.
But in all of the right ways for all of those things. So even if you're not like a huge horror buff, like read this anyway and just like see what happens.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I loved it, and that's not usually my wheelhouse either.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah,
loving it,
yeah,
definitely. So yeah, like when I was reading it, I really felt like the art style is old, right? Like I was like, hey, this could be an '80s manga, and I wouldn't know, right? Like I'd have no idea. So like when I was reading it, I really felt like Outlaw Star. Like I feel like it's a very similar art style and seinen feel. There's gruesome parts, right away. Things are not really left to imationation. You get to see that shit right on panel.
Yeah,
like,
it does a great job of setting the tone of yeah.
There's shit's coming out of people in this shit. I loved. I mean, this is minorly spoilery, but Nikaido kicks Buddy's eye right out the head and stomps on her eye right in front of him. Like, you ain't getting your eye back, buddy.
Dude,
Fuck
what
you,
a baddie, bro.
Let me jump in a little bit and just say the ladies in this story are badass as hell, and they are beef ladies.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
and
so
right
good.
away, Noi, right away.
Nikaido.
In the first volume, I think it's like chapter 3. There's a chapter cover of like Nikaido, and she's got like her, garbage man, jumpsuit,
Jumpsuit,
with the
Hell
titties
yeah.
out, but then like she's standing next to a bunch of like dead like rats that are like hung up on like meat hooks, and she's got this fucking skateboard and shit, and like I don't think you saw her skateboarding before that like chapter cover, so I'm seeing that and I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I got fucking like Superman by Goldfinger in my head, like here I am doing everything I can. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh fuck yeah, dude, like this is my goat already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just so cool, and it sets the tone right away and lets you know exactly what kind of story it's going to be instantly. You know what I mean? It's obviously very horror. Obviously, you get dialogue in the very first chapter that lets you know it's a mystery. Obviously, you get a really good representation of what kind of place the hole is. And
the world in general is very captivating. To have like the whole is the world that we are looking at, but there's a lot more to it than that. Whole, you can infer what you want from the fact that this place is called Whole. Use your imagination and kind of figure out what's kind of going on there. But it's very captivating. This is a great world, and I'm excited to continue the story because I have not finished it, and I'm ready to jump right into that.
You're gonna love it. I would definitely recommend. I would actually say like watch the anime. You're gonna watch that anime, the 12 episode anime, and you will not be able to stop. Like there's no way you can watch.
There's a couple OVAs too, isn't there? OVAs.
I don't know. I mean, the anime just came out in the winter, so
Yeah.
like I don't know what OVAs there would be or whatever. But like you will watch this anime and you will not be able to stop. You will need to keep reading. So just keep reading. Like it's really good. And let me just throw out another a quick shout out. If anyone has already read Dorohedoro and wants something similar, Q Hayashida does have a new manga she's working on right now. It's ongoing, only like 12 chapters or something like that, 11 chapters, called Die Dark. Same feel, same art, same humor, just amazing story, world building. But like if you're needing something new and you've already read Dorohedoro, highly recommend that because that's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
Those are our recommendations, you guys. Thanks for joining us. If you did, slap a like on the video, like the stream. For those of you who like came in like later in the stream, make sure you visit the description if you feel so inclined to drop a donation to Black Lives Matter or COVID charities.
Please,
that's what
thank you.
That's what this entire convention has been about.
You guys have been incredible so far, man. Thank you
What
so
a
much.
weekend!
Yes,
What a
we
weekend!
love you. Thank
What a
you so
weekend.
much.
Yes,
Yes, we love
absolutely.
you.
This was an incredible discussion. All of the panels have been amazing. You guys have been
Hell yeah.
very supportive. And not just
Definitely.
just the streams themselves, but in the donation as well. Matter of fact, before we end this,
Everywhere.
let's take a look and see how much we've raised. Right
Oh,
quick,
real
because-
See what we got
Please
going
tell me.
on.
Because
Real time
let me
update.
take a look.
While he's doing that,
Well, we do
while
got
he's
the
doing that,
closing ceremony left.
Yeah, we have
yeah,
a closing ceremony.
We'll
after
see.
This,
We'll
so-
see. But like, hey, this is still a good little checkpoint. But what I want to say, while Noxie's doing that, is we have a couple episodes on our channel where we have recommended other manga that has a very similar feel to this panel we just did here. And I mean, why if you like this panel, I would definitely highly recommend checking out our tangential tie-ins where we did this exact same thing and we are going to do in the future. And this is probably the funnest time I have is just recommending shit that we don't normally cover because we talk
about it all the time, and it's like
all the time.
I love so much more shit. Like look at my
Jujutsu,
shit.
Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, all that shit's goated. The shit we cover, we love it. But like, it's nice to talk about some other shit too.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Absolutely. And the link to our
Facts.
YouTube channel will be down in the description too.
So how much have we raised?
Just under $2,500. Thank you so much, you guys. That's so crazy.
Love you.
That's so crazy.
Amazing.
Kanpai.
Like we set the goals. We set the goals. Obviously we wanted to be something significant, but also something realistic at the same time. But like I wasn't expecting,
No.
this kind of turnout, especially because like the promotion and whatnot like wasn't like where it could have been for this event. You know what I mean? But everyone involved and everyone on the audience side or on the collaborator side of things just was so great about this entire thing, and it's so like heartwarming to know that throughout all of these crises that the world is going through right now, that the good people are still making themselves like known in these kind of ways, because it's very easy to think that this is just a shithole that we live on right now. And things like these, I feel like
heard my voice messages.
Things like these are, I feel like are really necessary. So like hopefully we can do another one in the future. But that's gonna do it for Manga You Should Read
Hell
in
yeah.
2020. Give us
Hell
like
yeah.
15 to 20 minutes to like iron out like how we're gonna do the closing ceremony. It's going to be a Q&A with a collection of the hosts from throughout the weekend, so that we can just kind of like hang out with you guys and like chill and talk for
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
any amount of time. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and
Y'all
get out
can
of here.
ask whatever
Chat.
questions you feel like asking.
Yes, sir. ANITUBE
Yeah.
Con
Kicking it.
2020. This is Project Manga. I'm Noxie.
It's your boy Kiko. What up?
Eagle-san.
And Nickums, thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you again.
We
We'll
love
see,
you.
we'll see you guys at the
Daisuke.
closing ceremony. Have a good one.
Daisuke.